All right, good morning, traders. Today is the last day of March. It's March 31st, 2026. Tomorrow, April Fool's. Wow, these first 3 months have gone by fast. Want to thank everybody out there in podcast land, digital land, cyber land. Thank you for following, liking, and subscribing to my content. Want to thank everybody that subscribes to membership here in the room. Appreciate that. Love that. Thank you so much. I'm honored they all chose me to lead them in their trading journey. Appreciate that. Love that. All right, let's take a look at the markets and see what we can gather from price action to prepare ourselves for today. Special shout out Bob Jordan, John Jordan, Kathy, Sarah Roasted, Ed Carter, Rick Sadler, everybody that shares the BYOB content that does not go unnoticed. Thank you so much. I appreciate you helping make the BYOB Trading Room grow. Appreciate that. Love that. All right, let's take a look at SPY. We're going to move this off for right now. And let's see what we got here. What's not working? That's working. Okay, so let's start out with, these are kind of working slow, traders. Pressing on things and they're not working. Here we go. All right, 10-minute chart yesterday into the close, okay? We had a 10-minute downtrend, like right here, beautiful 10-minute downtrend that was manifested right about noon, all right, as the European market was closing. It had a beautiful 10-minute downtrend. We traded that yesterday. Again, that's a picture of money right here. You see the ADMA and the VWAP. See how the mouth grows between the two? Right there, getting wider, 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 wider. Right there. Okay, that's a picture of money. Take a picture of that if you don't know what a picture of money looks like. That's where you can make a lot of money right there. Okay, anytime price goes up, over VWAP, under VWAP, over, that's nothing but chop and slop. It'll do nothing but grind up your account. Okay, this is where the money's at, right here. Right there. When you see that picture like that, where the mouth between the ADMA and the VWAP line just gets wider and wider and wider. And then if you're looking for confirmation, I use this, okay? I don't even use it anymore, but you can use this. Okay, on the 10-minute chart, I like either if you're bullish, if the mouth is bullish, all right, then you want a positive 0.06 or better, all right, on the 10-minute PPO. All right, if you're negative, you want a negative 0.06 or lower, all right, negative 0.06 or lower on the PPO. And you can see right here, here's the 10-minute chart. Look at this candle right here, their breakdown. And you can see right there we're at negative 0.5. Next candle, negative 0.6. There's your breakdown, 10-minute. And that's for confirmation. If you're looking for confirmation, I don't really need it. I just trade the 10-minute downtrend. But if you're looking for something, you want something that might have some momentum, all right? So 0.06 or greater is part of that good momentum that we need to make profits with our options. So that's, if you like to know what money looks like, that's exactly what it looks like right there for me. All right, so there's 10-minute. Into the close, we've got, like I said, we had a 10-minute downtrend. So I'm going to call it 10-minute bearish consolidation because we didn't really have a downtrend anymore. They can see they pinched it off. And you didn't really have an uptrend either. So I'm just going to call it 10-minute bearish consolidation into the close on the 2-hour chart. Okay, I'm going to push this back down because we don't need that anymore. On the 2-hour chart, you can see the 3 EMA is plotting below the 8 EMA. You got that trap between the 8 EMA and the 3 EMA, excuse me, the 8 EMA and the 3 EMA. You can see daylight in there. Okay, so you got everything's pointed down. You got a 2-hour downtrend coming into the close, okay? You got that daylight between the 3 and the 8. everything pointed down. So 2-hour downtrend. See the 17 EMA right there? See how it's sloping down? Those red dots are the 17. The white line is the 8 EMA. Yellow one is the 3 EMA. So everything pointed down. So 2-hour downtrend coming into the close. On the daily candle, get a lower high, a lower low. We're closing underneath bearish trap because the 3 and the sticks are plotting underneath the 8. Okay, so closing, excuse me, underneath, we closed down here, bottom of the body of the candle, closed underneath the bearish trap. Underneath, see this, the falling 17 EMA right there. If we look at this with the scratch lines on there. And you can see we're still in the upper third, 33% pullback from the all-time highs is 626. All right, I thought it was 627, 626. So we have a pullback here, almost to the 33%. And that is a place where I kind of expected bulls to kind of step in, but I thought they would have spiked that 626 area yesterday, but we're already bouncing again today. I don't know if I'm going to get duped again today or not, but we're bullish in the pre-market again, just the same as we were yesterday. All right, so SPY on the daily chart, we're still in a downtrend, okay, but we're still bullish because we're in the upper third, just barely. All right, because we closed, I think, last night at, well, we got down yesterday as low as 629.70, maybe around 629. Okay, so we came close to that 626 area. We have lower highs and lower lows, so we're in a downtrend. We're still bullish because we're in the upper third. Here's the origin of our move back here in April. Big rally up, move over, nice bull flag right through there, and then we kind of rolled over once we got into, well, things kind of like calmed down, and then we got into the conflict, and things started to roll over after that. A lot of uncertainty happens, and that's what happens when you get uncertainty is the market doesn't like it, and they tend to want to take profits and sit on cash until you can figure out what you're going to do. Okay, so right now, we've got uncertainty, so of course, interest rates don't look like they're coming down. All right, that would be a catalyst for bullish growth. We're in a conflict again. All right, so not another deterrent against bullish growth. All right, when we have all our service members out at sea or over there in the Middle East, okay, they're certainly not taking their paychecks and spending them here in the USA. Okay, so another reason, to really take profits because it's just not going to be there. All right. Not to mention, the longer we stay at war, the more people we're going to piss off. All right, which tends to lead to what? GDP is probably going to be affected. That's all of our foreign neighbors and people we sell to. Probably not going to be a whole lot of sales wanting to buy American goods and services, because we're not the popular kid on the block anymore, all right? Because, run around picking fights, all right? From their perspective, all right? Even though we're trying to secure peace in the world, they don't see it that way, and that's what happens. So, again, another reason to start taking profits again. We're not going to have a lot of growth overseas or with our neighboring friendlies, all right? So, another reason to take profits. So, here we are. We are testing the bullishness of the upper third of this move right now. All right, so bouncing up here in the pre-market. We'll see how long this bounce goes. Do I expect it to rip all the way back up to the top? There's a possibility. If we get out of the conflict, I'd say yes. If they could lower interest rates, maybe. If we could get back on track, that would be nice. We'll see what happens. But currently, irregardless of all of that, we're still bullish, but we're in a downtrend because we're making lower highs and lower lows. All right, let's talk about weekly chart. All right, weekly chart still bullish because we're in the upper third. Again, April would be the origin of our rally. So it's about a year old, this whole rally. Okay, it started last year, right about April Fool's, same date. That was the See what date that is. Yeah. Oh no, that's 4/11. All right. Although that's the weekly chart. Let's go back to the daily chart. See when that sucker started. What's that? That is 4/7. Okay, so right around there, right after April Fools, anyways. Okay, so anyways, so this whole rally is about a year old right now. Back to the weekly chart. Okay, we're bullish because we're in the upper third. We're made lower lows, so we're in a downtrend. So it's the same as the daily chart. Okay, bullish, but in a downtrend. All right, weekly bullish, but in a downtrend. 2-hour chart. Is in a downtrend currently, all right? Nothing bullish yet, all right? On the monthly chart, back up here. Again, here's the origin of the move, April, right here, up and over to the right. We have not made any lower lows, so we're still bullish and in an uptrend here on SPY on the monthly time frame. All right, let's take a look at QQQ, see what they did yesterday. It's going to be very similar. All right, on QQQ, what do we got here? What do we got? Okay, let's start with the 10-minute. All right, 10-minute chart kind of looks just like SPY. Again, the 10-minute downtrend right here. Nice, beautiful 10-minute downtrend. All right, right into the close. Got pinched off at the end of the close, so there's no uptrend, there's no downtrend. We're just going to call it bearish consolidation right through there. Okay, on the 2-hour chart, you can see the sticks and the 3 are plotting underneath the falling 8. Okay, and you got daylight between the 3 and the 8. So we got a 2-hour downtrend coming into the close. On the daily chart, a lower high, a lower low. We're closing a little bit different here on QQQ. We're no longer bullish. That would be the 33% line right there. This faint line, you can barely see it. But right there is a really super faint line. You can see we're closing below the 33%. So that makes us neutral, okay? No longer bullish. We're neutral. And you can see the series of lower highs and lower lows that puts us in a downtrend. So now QQQ is neutral and in a downtrend right now, currently on the daily chart. Let's take a look at the weekly chart. Okay, same thing as SPY. Again, we're making lower lows, so we are neutral, all right, and in a downtrend. Okay, no longer bullish. Now we're neutral and in a downtrend. Monthly chart is still is neutral, all right, but still in an uptrend. Okay, so almost the same as SPY. The only difference is they close not in the upper third, all right, on QQQ, whereas SPY did close in the upper third. So SPY is bullish. And QQQ is neutral. Okay, so let's just say SPY is not overly bullish. I mean, they are knocking on the door of that 33% line, which could, put them in the neutral category. Okay, so we'll see what happens here. So there's QQQ monthly chart, bullish and neutral. All right, no, not bullish, neutral, but in an uptrend. That's what I meant to say. Okay, so there's QQQ. Let's take a look at SPY, not SPY, IWM on the daily chart. We will come back and do the game plans. All right, so here's IWM. There is the 33 right there. We're above it. So we're still bullish on IWM. But you can see clearly we're in a downtrend. Yesterday's candle, lower high, lower low. Closing under a bearish trap, under the falling 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, I think that's the same state for about all of them. If you go back and look at QQQ, okay, you can see under the all-time high anchored VWAP, under the uptrend line. Okay, under not in quadrant 4 anymore. Okay, lower high, lower low, closing under the falling 17, closing under the falling 8. Okay, it's about the same state for just about all of the Fab 5, all right? So back to Diamond Dow one more time here. No, we just did IWM, Diamond Dow. You can see here's the 33 right here, and we're below it, so we're neutral here too. Got a lower high and a lower low. We closed under a bearish trap, closed under the falling 17, closed under the all-time high anchored VWAP, neutral, and you can see lower highs, lower highs and lower lows, and in a downtrend. So you got diamond down, neutral in neutral and in a downtrend. IWM bullish but knocking on the door, bullish but in a downtrend. You got SPY on the daily time frame. Okay, so we've got SPY is bullish and in a downtrend. Again, knocking on the door of that 33% line. QQQ is neutral and in a downtrend. All right, so let's take a look at Stinker, FNGU. And FNGU is lower high, lower low. This would be yesterday's candle, closing underneath the bearish trap, closing underneath the falling 17, closing underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP. This would be the 50-yard line. Bulls would be in control if we got price up here. Bears would be in control if price is down here. This is the all-time low. That's the all-time high. We're definitely in quadrant 1. You can see the close right there in quadrant 1. So that's bearish. And you can see the series of lower highs. A high, there's a lower high. There's a lower high. There's a lower high. Another lower high. And look at the lower lows. And in a downtrend. Okay, so bearish and in a downtrend, closing below the 50-yard line or a half court, closing below the all-time high anchored VWAP. Bearish and in a downtrend for Stinker right there. Okay, let's take a look at some precious metals. Start with silver. Okay, silver, we've got higher low, higher high, well, or an inside day, one or the other. What's the high there? 64.88. I got to back way out. 64.63 inside day for silver. Closing inside the bearish trap. You can see the daylight between the 3. The 3 is plotting underneath the 8 here. Okay, so silver is closing inside a bearish trap, closing underneath the falling 17, closing underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP. Just barely hanging on to the bullish side of neutrality. Remember, this is the 50-yard line. Let's go way back out here. Okay, so the origin of this big rally that led to a peak all-time high up there started in 2022. Okay, you can see we got a really strong peak up there. This is the all-time high anchored VWAP right there. This would be the all-time, well, not the all-time low, well, the origin of the move low anchored VWAP is right there. You can see price action is making lower highs and lower lows. So we're in a downtrend, all right, on silver, and we're neutral because we're definitely not in the upper third. We're not in the lower third. So neutral and in a downtrend on silver. Again, closing underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP, closing underneath the falling 17, but closing right on top of the 50-yard line right there for silver. Let's take a look at gold. Gold a little bit better. Gold's got a higher low, a higher high. We closed inside a bearish trap, closed at the bottom of that body, closed underneath the falling 17, closed underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP, closed underneath quadrant 4. We're still in the upper third, so we're still bullish, but we still have not put in any higher highs. We've got a high, we've got a lower high, we got an even lower high, we got a low, we got some lower lows, so we're still in a downtrend. So this is bullish, but definitely not acting bullish and in a downtrend currently on gold. Look like they're trying to round out the bottom here. We'll see what they want to do, all right? I'm all for it if they want to get going again. But there's gold, all right? Again, bullish, but in a downtrend right now, currently. All right, let's take a look at USO. Okay, high flyer here, USO. I think this thing can get up to about 186, 185 area. We'll see what happens, all right? Yesterday's candle, higher high, lower low, higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap, okay, because you got the sticks and the 3, plotting over the 8, okay, so closing over that bullish trap, closing over this rising 17 EMA, closing at the top of quadrant 4. This is probably, let's go all the way back. I'm curious how far back we have to go to find out how much of a high this is. So the last time we were here, all right, was basically 10 years ago. Okay, so this is a 10-year high right now we're currently looking at on the weekly chart. Back to the daily chart. I'll zoom out so you can see. Here's the origin of our move right here on 2022. Should be 2022, 2023 right here. And what am I missing here? Get this out of the way. Okay, so 2022, right here, 2023, the origin of our move right here. Okay, that is a 4-year high, anchored VWAP. That's a post-COVID high. And you can see we're obviously making new highs. It's a new 10-year high there for USO. It's bullish, and it's in an uptrend. All right, new 10-year high, and I think it can get up to about 185. I wouldn't take it all the way there. I mean, I start taking profits around 150, 160. I wouldn't want to like wait for the number. Again, you know, we're here to hit targets. Those are nice, all right, but we're here to make money, all right? So if I got close to that, well, I'd take my money right there. All right, so there's USL bullish and in an uptrend. All right, let's take a look at UNG. UNG, lower high, lower low, little doji candle right here, doji candle up there, closing underneath the bearish trap, closing underneath the flat 17, that's the red dots and the green dots, okay, closing all the way down here in quadrant 1. Let's pan way out so you can see the whole look here. That is a 12-month high right there, and that pink line's a 12-month high anchored VWAP. This is the all-time low right here, set in January, all right, and you can see this would be bullish up here. All right, we're nowhere near it. All right, we're down here in the lower third and actually down in quadrant 1, so we're bearish. All right, and we haven't made any higher highs in a while, so we're in a downtrend. So bearish and in a downtrend on UNG. Again, trading underneath that falling 12-month high anchored VWAP. And with that, let me just say, we didn't set the bar very high there. And they struggled for 12 months to try to clear and hold the higher ground. You can see how many times they failed here, failed, got up there, they thought they could do it, not quite, all right? Then they went down here, made a new all-time low right there. Went up there again, tried the same thing, and they lost it, okay? So UNG clearly struggling, not ready yet. Maybe next year, all right, for UNG. We'll see. Definitely not going to be the year unless things get turned around. Even with the conflict going over there, you'd think UNG would be up here at 25. Just not there. I don't know what it is. It's just maybe there's too many alternative fuels. And that could be a possibility. We'll see. All right, so again, bearish and in a downtrend on UNG. All right, let's take a look at some game plans. All right, so let's start off with SPY. All right, let's hit the 15. Let's hit the game plan. I'm just going to pan out here. All right, so my pivot, 634.50. Above it, bullish. Below it, bearish. Red erases green underneath yesterday's lows. That's 629.25. Green erases red over yesterday's highs. That's above 640.40. Okay, right now we're waffling around over the midpoint and kind of flirting with the 640.40. Now we got up here 640 area yesterday. Okay, we're above it right there. All right, and the market sold off. Then we got up there again yesterday, and the market sold off. Well, days before. Okay, now yesterday we got up there, 640 number. See that big red candle right there? So again, we sold off. So 640's been an area of resistance. All right, just keep that in mind. We got up there, we sold off. Yesterday, again, just want to point this out. I got duped. All right. Okay, so this was my plan. I plan to trade continuation of the SPY 10-minute uptrend, all right, to targets, well, 640, 645, 648. Okay, so we did, in the pre-market, have a nice 10-minute uptrend that looked like it was going to break out over that 640 area. Let me just say, it opened up in the morning and no 10-minute uptrend, that's for sure. After coming down here, spending some time, not able to break a bullish 10-minute rubber band candle or even produce one over VWAP yesterday. I'm now looking for a 10-minute downtrend. I found one, so I traded the 10-minute downtrend in the noon hour. Okay, so that's what happened with me yesterday on the SPY. Okay, the plan, okay, did not work out. All right, so I didn't waste too much time with it. There was no uptrend, so again, I only bought a couple calls in anticipation, and I probably should have waited. But in anticipation of that uptrend continuing, they did not. So I converted my calls to a bearish call credit spread, and then bought some puts, and from there I made my profits yesterday. Okay, so that's what happened. What do I plan to trade today? Well, I'm going to wait till I'm done with the video here, and we'll take a look at the markets. I see them pushing higher again this morning. Again, if we could get over 640.40, all right, I might have some hope for an uptrend, all right. But until that happens, I think I'm going to remain neutral through here, and then bearish if they happen to fall underneath the pivot again. Okay, that's kind of where I'm looking at it right now. Okay, this is resistance. I want to see them get up on top of here, hold this 640.40 area. I'd be interested over that. In between here, this is kind of like a waffle zone. All right, so I'll wait and kind of see what happens. And they may just consolidate right through here between 634.50 and 640. We'll just call it 50 area right up there. Okay, this is the SPY game plan. All right, we have a short week this week. And this week we're going to be closed on Friday. All right, so the markets won't be open. So it's a short week. So I trade 2 DTE and 10 DTE. Normally that would be 3. All right, but this week there won't be a Friday. All right, it's only going to be a Thursday. All right, because Friday we're closed. So I like the Thursday, Friday options. I'm just going to say it like that because Friday we're off for Good Friday. Okay, so I like the Thursday, Friday options on the multiple of 5. You know what I mean. It's the last day of the week when they're going to do the OPEX. Okay, so that's what I'm referring to. All right, so I like the Thursday, Friday options on the multiple of 5 specifically for the open interest. All right, I like a lot of open interest. It usually equates to higher liquidity for me, a tighter bid-ask spread. I do not like having to shop for options and seeing sometimes 50 cents or $1 between the bid and the ask, okay? That's just too much room for error. I don't like that, okay? I like strikes out of the money particularly, but because we have a lot of volatility, I'm paying for $10 moves in my options. All right, and I'm only getting $3 and $4 moves sometimes. All right, so for that reason, I'm going to choose the strikes that are at the money. All right, because even then, I'm still going to be paying up, but I'll be closer to price performance with a higher delta. All right, than the out of the money options for that reason. Okay, I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. I like 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. So again, if I happen to get a 10-minute uptrend over 640.50, 640.40, maybe even just 640, I'd be highly interested in trading that, okay, up there. If I get a nice 10-minute uptrend that happens to develop up there, all right? If one were to develop down here, I'd like to see it break the bullish 10-minute rubber band candle, all right, in order for me to trade it. I like 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. So if everything falls apart up here and we get a 10-minute downtrend and we break a bearish 10-minute rubber band candle long before we get to the red erases green entry down here, I'm not opposed to trading that. I just like to see it kind of prove itself. Either show me like a broken rubber band candle, or maybe on the PPO you show me some point -6 or point +6 or better or worse. You know what I'm saying? All right. If it's a downtrend, negative 0.06 or less. If it's a uptrend, positive 0.06 or greater. Okay, that's what I'm saying on that PPO. All right, so there's the SPY game plan. All right, so again, this morning it's going to be a kind of a wait and see approach. All right, again, got to get up over 640.50, 640 area. Show me you can get that ground and hold that ground for more than 5 seconds. All right, that would be important. All right, if you can't do that, then you're probably going to just chomp around, in which case I don't really want to trade you, because all it's going to do is decay my options, chomping around. I'd rather wait for that bona fide 10-minute downtrend or that bona fide 10-minute uptrend to manifest, the uptrend to manifest over the green erases red, the downtrend to manifest and slope through the pivot 634.50. So that's my plan this morning. I'll write it up and put it in there a little bit later. Let's go look at QQQ. All right, on the QQQ. All right, and here we are. QQQ game plan. I'm going to close off the PPO. We don't need that anymore. All right, pivot 561.30. Above it, I'm bullish. Below it, bearish. Red erases green. Underneath, 555.60. That's our low from yesterday. So underneath yesterday's low, all right, that would be a bearish green, red erases green entry. Up over here over yesterday's high, okay, up over 568. That would be a bullish green erases red entry. Pivot, 561.30. Again, through here, I'm expecting chop. All right, same thing for QQQ. If we get down here, I'd be interested in trading a bona fide 10-minute downtrend underneath the pivot or underneath the red erases green. But in here, I don't think I want to trade through there. I think it's going to be nothing but chop. I'll wait and see who does the breakout. And even if the chop ends today, we'll see what happens. Again, 2 days till expiration and 10 days. 2 days because it's Thursday. Remember, Friday we're closed. Good Friday. So Friday, Thursday, Friday, you guys know what I mean. Okay, options on the multiple of 5 specifically for the open interest, all right, means higher liquidity, strikes at the money, near the money, at the money, and 10-minute uptrends over VWAP, and I trade 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. Same thing goes for QQQ. In here, probably going to be chop, all right. Up here, it's going to be a bullish uptrend. Okay, underneath the pivot, more than likely we're going to have a bona fide 10-minute downtrend. Okay, just saying that's the plan. We'll see. Remember, I got duped yesterday, all right, with that 10-minute uptrend, and that was really looking nice. It was consolidating over the prior consolidations, looking nice, and that thing fell apart, didn't it? Right there. Okay, I want to show you what happened a little bit yesterday. Okay, this is one of the contributors in the room here. And, hey, I just want everybody out there to know, okay? We got some really freaking talented people here in the BYOB Trading Room, okay? I mean, a lot of them, all right? I mean, I don't have to bring out any names, but we got some really talented people. This is just one of our talented people right here. He produces a game plan every single day. Now look at this, okay? Now I do a game plan. He does a nice game plan. I like his game plan a lot. All right. Anyways, this is John, and he shares this in our room. All right, probably on his X account as well, but he shares this in our room every day. All right, that he's trading. All right, so I mean, he's not going to get it every day. I mean, he does take vacations, people. All right, so but when he's trading, all right. He shares this every day. Sell below right here. He's got guidance right there. Sell below 562.90. Okay. Now I just want to show you something. Okay. Yesterday's plan. Notice this was the day before's plan. Okay, sell below this number here. Again, you got the picture of money. You got the 8 EMA dropping, or the 9 EMA. I think he uses the 9. All right, the 9 EMA dropping, and VWAP up here, and the mouth of VWAP and everything just kind of opens up. All right, and then again, you got a picture of money. So here we go again. All right, yesterday. All right, so here we go again. He said sell below 562.90. There's the VWAP, this gold line right here. Again, you got the picture of money. See how the mouth and the 8 or the 9 on his chart, okay, open up and they just get wider and wider. Beautiful 10-minute downtrend right into the close right there. Okay, so another picture of money right there. So there's the result had you followed his guidance, all right, or his trade plan that he shares in the room every single day. All right, so I mean, there you go. I mean, notice. I mean, you got easy money. This is easy money. I don't know any other way to describe it. All right, sell below this, and look where price goes from here down to here. That's pretty easy. All right, that's really easy to do that. All right, and if you want to trade options, just pick some in the money options and trade them all the way down or at the money. All right, then you don't have to fuss with theta decay. You're going to get some theta decay, but you don't have to fuss with am I going to expire out of the money kind of scenario. All right, just pick something in the money and trade it to the downside. Nice drop. All right, there you go. Easy, that's easy money. For me, that looks like easy money to me. All right, so just saying, there's that uptrend that I got duped on right there. Okay, see that? That was the 10-minute uptrend that we had yesterday. All right, that's why I gave the guidance to go up over 640, 645, and 648. You notice, see? 5 seconds after the market opened, we tanked. All right, so that happens sometimes. All right, that's why you want confirmation. All right, enough about all of that. Okay, again, look at John's chart. You want to picture easy money. All right, right there. Gives a little guidance. Sell below here, stay out of this area, buy above this. All right, let's take a look at technicals. All right, T2101. See if I can scoot over there. T2101. Okay, this is market breadth. See absolute breadth, aka participation. So the market went lower yesterday, and participation kind of dipped with it. That's kind of a bullish sign because you don't want everybody piling on when the market's going down. Okay, so that's kind of a bullish sign. For me, that is, all right? So that's T2101, T2122. Okay, once you look at this, the whole month of March, look at the majority of the price action, okay? Or the majority of the line has been spent underneath the 50-yard line. This would be the bearish control down here. This would be the bullish control above the 50-yard line. And you can see every time they got up there, they were sent packing by the bears, okay? Every time they got up there, you know, and the visits up here, look how they get shorter and shorter. So there's like maybe 2 or 3 days. There's a day. There's a half a day. Another half a day. 10 seconds. Another half a day. Maybe 5 minutes. Okay? Another half a day. Okay? So very little time spent in the bullish control area. So the bears have been in control for a while. And obviously you can see it looking at the SPY chart. It looks like a big rollover. It looks like a hill you want to go sledding on or skiing on. Okay? The way that thing's dipping. All right, so there's T2122. Again, you can see sellers chop zone, sell zone, oversold zone. All of this spells out bearish control. Okay? Still daily downtrends. That spells out bearish control. 2-hour downtrend spells out bearish control. Okay, I'm talking about the SPY. Okay, so 10-minute downtrends, obviously bearish control. Okay, so this is T2122. Bears are still here. We haven't seen the bulls show up yet. Maybe they're here this morning. I thought I saw them yesterday. Must have been a ghost. All right, T2123. Okay, see this? See the ski slope right there? All right, so T2123. This is the all-time high up here, by the way. We'll put the quad lines on there. I want to show this to you. Okay, so from the all-time high, okay, we're in quadrant 1. That's bearish. All right, obviously you see lower highs and lower lows, and in a downtrend. If you can't tell by the slope, yeah, we're in a downtrend. All right, so, and we're underneath the excuse me, the falling 200 SMA. Okay, that's where you want to be if you're a bear. All right, prefer to be a bull myself. I mean, the market is set up to be bullish, and they continue to make it bullish by weighting different stocks and throwing out losers and inserting winners. Okay, so I prefer to be a bull. Right now we're having a big pullback. We'll let them do their thing. All right, and then as soon as they fix it and the bulls show up, we can be bulls again. Right now, I got to be bearish, all right? Because they're clearly showing me they're in control. By the looks of this slope, we're under the 200. We're down here in quadrant 1. All right, so that's T2123, 15-minute chart, bearish, and in a downtrend. Here's a three-bar chart. Okay, 3-bar chart is still bullish. All right, way up here. Okay, still bullish because we're in the upper third. Remember, this is the origin of our move back here in April. All right, here's the 2024 all-time high. Here's the 2025 all-time high. Here's the 2026 all-time high. Okay, so here's 2025, the April origin. We run up, we make a new all-time high. We pull back, we make a higher low. With the higher low, we recapture the flat 200. Consolidate, rip, and make another new all-time high into 2026. Okay, right now we're underneath that rising 200 SMA. Okay, that's bearish down there. All right, it's bearish. I'd rather be see it up over the rising 200. That would be bullish. So we're no longer bullish up there when it comes to the 3-bar chart. We are bullish when it comes to the origin of our rally. Okay, so right here from this point, we're still bullish, but we're obviously in a downtrend, making lower highs and lower lows. We should probably measure from this low. Just saying, up there. Okay, now you can see this a whole different picture from this low up to that all-time high. Okay, we're kind of just neutral right through here. Okay, all right, so we'll see. So we're obviously in a downtrend. We'll just call it right here neutral, and still in a downtrend, and we're underneath that rising 200 SMA. That's T2123. Stinker on the 15. Okay, you can see the day before, bearish gap down. Bulls never filled the gap. Okay, big clue. Anytime the bulls never fill the gap, beware the bears. Okay, watch out for bears. Okay, so you got price action making lows from the day before. All right, making lower lows. So we're obviously in a downtrend right there. And you're underneath this falling 200 SMA. Again, it's where you want to be if you're a bear. You're underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, again, that's where you want to be if you're a bear. If I slap the quad lines in here, it's going to look ugly. All right, you can see we're at the bottom of quadrant 1. All right, from the all-time high. So we're bearish. All right, and making lower highs and lower lows. And in a downtrend right there. That stinker on the 15. All right, U.S. dollar index. downtrend right through here, okay? Lower highs, lower lows, go into a bear flag, trying to break out of the top of the bear flag, okay? This was major support. All of these valleys made up major support. We've been trying to break into this area up here for a while, all right, for about 6 months. We failed here, double failure here. We're back again this month in March, okay? So looks like we might break it. Looks like we might make it up there. Whether we hold the higher ground or not, we'll find out. Remains to be seen, in other words, okay? So we're right now in the current a bear flag, but currently in a daily uptrend because we got a high, we got a low, we got a higher low, and then we got higher highs. So we're currently in a daily uptrend in this bear flag. Whether we can break the flag channel and produce candles up here, maybe consolidate up there, hold that higher ground, that would be interesting. That would be a bullish move for the dollar. We don't really want a bullish dollar because it does nothing more than make our goods and services more expensive. All right, we'd rather have a cheap dollar, all right, because it makes our goods and services more affordable to our neighbors, all right, in the friendly countries that we do business with. All right, we'd rather have a cheap dollar, but we'll see what happens. All right, let's take a look at the economic package. Max Payne for today. Let's see if they change it on me. They did yesterday. We'll see. Okay, still 645. Put to call ratio, 2.2 puts for each call. That expires today. So heavy put presence. All right, obviously some bears are out there. And that's for all of the options that expire today. This is for SPY. SPY, all right? Only SPY. Okay, on the earnings calendar, all this week, nothing but familiar names, nothing here that's going to move the markets, okay? All of it. Again, you can take a look at Monday, okay? Nothing with major market cap. Tuesday, that's, okay, again, Nike, probably one of the biggest ones this week. Again, nowhere near 100 billion, all right? So, again, all familiar names, but nothing here that's going to move the markets. April Fools, okay, again, familiar names. Nothing going to be market moving here. All right, same with Thursday. Remember, Friday we're closed. Good Friday. Okay, so there you go. Just all familiar names, nothing market moving. Economic calendar. Now, I don't know why, but we're closed on Friday. But this employment situation, I think the futures market will probably be open. But that's at 8:30 in the morning. All right, that is a market mover right there, that employment situation. For today, Case-Shiller Home Price Index, 9 o'clock, FHFA House Price Index, 9 o'clock. So if you didn't like the first one, we got a second one to back it up in case you want a different look. Okay, PMI, Chicago PMI, 9:45 today. Consumer confidence, 10 o'clock. JOLTS at 10. Tomorrow, MBA mortgage application, 7 o'clock. ADP employment report, looks like 8:15. Retail sales, that's a delayed report, 8:30 tomorrow. PMI manufacturing final, 9:45 tomorrow. ISM manufacturing index, that's 10 o'clock tomorrow. Another delayed report, business inventories, comes out at 10 tomorrow. And a petroleum inventories status report at 10:30 right there. Okay, on Thursday, we've got international traded goods and services, 8:30. All right. We got the Challenger job cut report at 7:30. Jobless claims at 8:30. And a natural gas inventories and status report at 10:30. Okay, and then the big one would be the employment situation, but market's not going to be open, but that's capable of sending price into a new direction or exacerbating the move in the current direction. All right, so we'll see what happens with that. So that was Max Payne, that was earnings, and then we did the economic calendar. That's pretty much it. As far as Gamma goes, they changed it. Let's see what they got. Okay, so we got a big node down here at 6:30. Okay, we were down there the day before, and then we were down there again yesterday. All right, and we have a big node over here on the positive gamma exposure up there. That's at 642. All right, we'll see what happens. All right, this is pretty big. All right, so will they get drawn to that? After they tackle this, will they then come back down to here? We'll find out. All right, so it's going to go in one of these two directions. Got a stronger magnetic pull on this side. All right, because look at the size, all right, of what's going on. We'll see what happens, though. Wish I wouldn't do that. All right, they may be drawn to this because they're closer to this and they're already moving toward it. So 642, a little bit of a call wall up there. So we'll see if they can get up to 642. Now if they get up to 642, start holding, all right, you can imagine we'll build up some more positive GEX at 643. All right, so we'll see what happens. Right now, price currently 639.53, and we're moving toward that big node of gamma exposure at 642. We have unsuccessful, I think, the last 2 days in producing and holding the ground over 640. So it will be interesting again today. So be careful, all right, with this number today. All right. So again, like I said, we got an abundance of talent in the room. All right. So somebody that knows more about the GEX than I do has just expressed that price could ping pong back and forth between the two. Are you saying the two outlined here, the call wall and the put wall? The narrow areas, okay. Because we got split GEX, all right. We got negative and positive, in between. So he says it could ping pong back and forth in through here. So we'll see. So be careful. Again, I mentioned chop, all right, I think several times when we were discussing the game plan, all right, between over the pivot on up to 630, okay? So update on the war, I don't know. I have not visited the war in a while. I should really get updated. I don't know. All I know is the last thing I saw on social media, and that's not a very good thermometer for measuring war. By the way, it's nothing but rumors and probably false information. Some of it's true, some of it's not. I saw that the Houthis are joining the Iranians as far as helping to wreak havoc on the Straits of Hormuz. That's really it. That's all that I know. All right, so, and the drum beats on. That's all I can say. That's as much as I know. I don't think we're any closer other than we've established superior air dominance. Now the next is superior ocean or water dominance. And then if we could just maintain the coastline, that would be next. We'll see. All right. All right. That's it for me. I'll see everybody in, 20 minutes. All right. See if I can get this posted up there. All right. We'll see what happens.